So how do you solve this? Oracle introduced the LISTAGG group function, and let's see how that works. Here's our group function. We are going to select custno, sum of total order price, and LISTAGG of the order node. Now notice there are 3 columns in the select. Sum is an aggregate column, is an aggregate. LISTAGG is also an aggregate. So we have not violated our golden group by rule. We're grouping by custno, so we have one group for each custno, one row for every custno, but we're displaying the data differently. How are we doing that? Sum of total order price is the same, but we're saying aggregate as a list, aggregate all the order numbers, separate the values by semicolons. Aggregating all the numbers, separating that by semicolons. You must say within group and have an order by here. That's a requirement. Within group says aggregate all of them within the group that's specified in the group by. So it's going to aggregate all order numbers, and remember we had order 1 and order 2. Those are the only 2 that we had in customer number 1. It aggregates order 1 and 2. And because we said order by order no, it's going to display them in order number value, the lowest order number, then the next highest, 3, 4, 11, 10, and so on. So that's all we need, and what we've done is we've taken all of the order numbers, and instead of displaying them going down the page where we had one row for every order number, we have one row for each customer number, and we display all the order numbers going across the page. We can separate it by anything we want. We did semicolons here. And you don't really have to sort it by order no. I don't have to do that. I could sort it by the total order price for each order, in which case I'd have the first order out of 1 and 2, which would be whichever one had the higher order price. And remember, it was 50 and there was 200. Let's look at that back here. We had 230 and 5098. So if we sorted it by total order price instead of by order number, we would show order 2 first and then order 1. So let's actually try that. And let's look at this data. Let's run this. This is exactly what we saw before, where we ordered by order no. But you don't have to order by order no. You can say I want it ordered by total order price instead. Within group, order by total order price. Let's try that. And now the first one that will be displayed is order number 2, because that's the lower total order price. Order number 1 is the higher. So that will change the order of the displays here. If you don't have any order, you can't take out this whole order no. You just can't do that. If you don't care what the order is, but you still need this syntax with the order. So if you don't care, then either put something in, or you can actually order by no, and then it'll order it by in any way it finds it, so it's irrelevant. So that's your LISTAGG, and I find that really extremely useful, because what it's letting me do is having one row for some level. I'm grouping it by something, but displaying another column that I otherwise would not be able to display. Just a little note on this. Let's say for some reason there were a bunch of orders with no order numbers. I mean, I'm listing the order number. Let's say there were no order numbers. Typically that wouldn't happen, but you could do a LISTAGG on something else, the total order price, and show the total order price for each order if you wanted within it. Sometimes what you're doing a LISTAGG in can be null. You might have a null value. So the question is, what is Oracle going to do when some of these values here are nulls? And the answer is, think back what Oracle always does with nulls in a group by. If you have a group by, when you do any group by, and you have a aggregate function, when you do a sum, what does it do with nulls? It ignores them. When you do an average, what does it do with nulls? It ignores them, so nulls will be ignored here. You will not see semicolon, semicolon. You will not see a null displayed in there. It'll just ignore it completely. So that's the key to LISTAGG, and I've found this to be extremely useful in a lot of cases because there are a lot of times you just need to display some of this other data, but you don't want to have one row for every order. You want to summarize it and get some of the data summarized.
Jeff, what happens if the LISTAGG column is larger than 4K, which I think is the largest character data size?
Good question. Okay, notice what Dave's referring to here is this LISTAGG is going to list all the orders for this customer. Well, these order numbers happen to be short, but what if I had thousands of orders? Or what if I had part numbers here and the part number was 16 characters and I had enough parts within some category that I was summarizing that the data would go over, it would get too long and go over my 4K limit. In that case, what you would get is another infamous Oracle error message, 1489. Result of string concatenation is too long. That happens in other places in Oracle as well, but here it certainly can happen. So the question is, what do you do in that case? One simple solution is if you happen to be in Oracle 12c, Oracle 12c has expanded the length of varchar 2s to 32K. The default in 12c, though, is still 4K. It's up to your DBA to go and change that, and they're going to go and do an alter system command, and there's something called max string size. They have to set it to extended. Don't think that when they go to 32K, that kind of solves all sorts of problems. First of all, you could always go over 32K in length, and that's still an issue in that case. But in many cases, if you had 32K, it would solve a lot of issues. Just be careful with it. If someone ever does set it to 32K, there are a whole bunch of limitations with that. Things like if you have a column that's 32K long, let's say you created a view out of this or another table with this data in it, and it was 32K long, there are problems with indexes and so on. So it's not a complete solution, but it's a nice solution, and for many people it'll get you to a reasonable answer there. However, the question remains, what happens if you are still going to go over that list, but you want to display the data? Well, I'm not sure why you want to display that much data, but let's say you do. Okay, let's say you do. And let's just Google managing overflows in Oracle LISTAGG. And the top one, as you see, I've hit before. And this goes into exactly what that error was and what some workarounds are to resolve it. The bottom line is there's a simpler workaround in Oracle 12, a more complex one in Oracle 11. Neither of them are really trivial, but if you need that, you can look it up. And they both create some kind of a view. Let's say this was your data, but this string was too long. The result, after you use the workaround, is here, where they will break it up into multiple rows. So if you say, even if I could go up to 4K and there was enough room, but I don't like it, it's overflowing, I want to have multiple rows and display it only 50 columns wide, it'll give you multiple department numbers here and split the names over different rows. So there are solutions. As you can see, they get a little bit more complex here, but if you ever need it, just do a managing overflows in LISTAGG or something like that, and it'll give you a whole bunch of different websites, and people have come up with other solutions. There is no LISTAGG solution all by itself.